My ex-wife, Sandy, and I got married young, too young. I wasn't done with university, and she was fresh out of high school. We were pressured by our families. It's a religious thing. We didn't actually even live together until a year and a half later when I finished my degree. I'm not in great shape. I'm not particularly handsome, although my mom says I am. I also spent a lot of time at work my first 3 years of my career getting a running start. I am ashamed to say I pretty much neglected Sandy. When we had our daughter, I re-examined my life and made them a priority. Unfortunately, it was too little too late. Sandy left me. It hurt. It hurt more when she moved on and left our daughter with me. She said that she was still young and that her family and I had taken years of her youth away, and now it was her turn to enjoy it. I felt a lot of guilt over what she said. For the record, I didn't particularly want to be married either. I said that I didn't want to hold her back, so I would not take child support. We went to court and I got full custody. She got visitation, which she only very rarely uses, like 4 times last year. It's been 5 years, and my daughter and I are doing fine. I have a great job now, and I'm able to work from home. I take my daughter to school and pick her up, and I leave my work in my office when we are together. I have also withdrawn from the church my parents attend. Recently, Sandy has been bugging me about parenting decisions. I told her that I would raise my daughter as I saw fit. She said that she was her mother and deserved a say. Her husband chimed in that I was not doing a proper job of parenting and that they were considering going back to court for custody. As soon as he mentioned lawyers, I hung up and called mine. She's a bulldog. She immediately filed for child support, including back child support for the last 5 years. I've been hearing from everyone that I'm being cruel going after her for money. Full disclosure, I make close to 5 times their combined income. I don't need their money. But if I can use the law to get her to leave us alone, I will. Am I the a-hole? It's amazing how OP's ex-wife does not realize that rights and responsibilities go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. When it comes to OP, he should have all that child support. OP really has no right to have said he didn't need it. Child support is for the child. Doesn't matter how much more or less OP and his ex comparatively earn. If a person wants to enforce their rights, they should be prepared to fulfill the responsibilities as well. OP's lawyer should go and remind OP's ex of this basis of modern society and responsibility as a parent. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Jellyfish Jambalaya says, "This woman abandons her husband and daughter to go enjoy life and now wants to give advice on raising your daughter? I don't think your attorney is out of line for filing for child support and/or back support. You are sending a message loud and clear to back off. Chances are, the ex hasn't changed that much and is now feeling the heat of having to explain to others why she doesn't have custody with her daughter. I think going in hard like you did was a good move. Keeping with the quarterly visits is good for now, or until your ex proves she's not going to abandon your daughter again. That kind of rejection lasts a lifetime. Every little one needs to know that they are worth fighting for, so keep fighting for her." Impossible Tutor 799 says, "Not the a-hole. It's easy to want to dictate things when you don't contribute a dime or time. They want to play, they need to pay. Also, the money is not for you, it's for your daughter. Put it in a college fund or investment account for her. As for the people with any criticism, tell them you welcome them to help X pay for raising your daughter. If not, they can butt out of your parenting." Loverly One says, "Not cruel. Your ex wants to pick and choose when to be a parent, and she has the nerve to criticize? Get everything you can. Your child deserves it, not the a-hole." I have 3 children, 27, 25, and 23. I was married to their father for 8 years, and he passed away when our youngest was 3. It was a somewhat arranged marriage, and I did respect and care for him. But I'm not going to lie and say my decisions here are based off some deep love. My late husband was very wealthy and left me his entire estate to live off of and raise our children. I'm supposed to give them each a certain percentage when they reach 25. I remarried 2 years later, and my new husband provided for the children, and so most of the estate is intact. The one thing he was very specific about was that I was only to give them the money if they stayed with the culture and the faith. This meant marrying someone also Persian and continuing with the important traditions. My middle daughter did not do this. She refused the bat mitzvah, and she is engaged to a white man. She has not been part of our faith since she lived under my roof and I could force her. She recently turned 25 and wanted to know when she was getting her inheritance. She was aware of the terms, but she thought I was going to give in, and now she thinks I'm punishing her for making choices I don't agree with. Honestly, I've been very hurt by her choices, but I don't believe in using money to control my children. I've thought about this deeply, and I don't feel comfortable dishonoring their late father. It was his choice and his money. The fact remains that OP's late husband and OP are actively using money to control what their kids believe and who they marry. I don't understand in what context this can be construed as reasonable. OP is punishing her for making her own choices by withholding money, for no other reason than she chose a man of a different culture and chooses to practice her personal beliefs in different ways. People will say it's OP's money to do what she wants with. I can't argue with that. But what a thing to do with OP's money. Not for goodness, or as a blessing, or to improve the life of a child, but to control and restrict. To make her into a mold of what OP wants. Is she hurting anyone in her choices and beliefs? And now let's hear the community's opinion. Bite Me says, I understand both perspectives, but I'll go with you're the a-hole. If someone changed the context to a white family, denying inheritance to a kid who married a black person, I think the fault would be apparently clear. Honoring your late husband's wish could easily alienate you from your daughter, and I wouldn't blame her for not keeping in contact, however hard defying him could be for you. Tolmycene says, no a-holes, because you are not the agent behind this situation, and I don't believe it fair to hold you wholly accountable for it. But if I were in your position, I would disregard your late husband's request, and here's why. The terms he outlined for distribution of his estate amongst his children were not ethical. I apologize if that sounds harsh to your late husband, and expect to be downvoted for it. However, children should not be coerced into deciding the ethnicity of the person they will marry, nor what religion they will follow by threat of removal from their parents' will. If a child must be bribed into following tradition, then this both devalues the tradition and dilutes the character of the child. Gryffindor85 says, you're the a-hole. She just made different choices. Your late husband will not benefit or be hurt by your choice either way now, so if it will improve your daughter's life, who I assume you love, then you should give it to her. My cousin, 27 male, and I, 25 male, used to be very close, but after a series of incidents, which I will not get into, I came to realize he was extremely manipulative, a habitual liar, and a sociopath. I distanced myself from him. After this, many details from his life trickled out, and things clicked into place. The multiple ex-girlfriends over the years he had characterized as crazy seemed like victims of his toxicity. They broke off marriages, one left his best friend for him, etc. A year ago, my cousin got engaged to a woman who conveniently happened to be from a very wealthy family. My immediate instinct was to inform her about this, but my brothers and parents, all of whom I had told about my cousin over the years, thought it was best not to get involved. My mother even kept insisting he had turned over a new leaf. I wasn't convinced because I'd seen my cousin's ability to play different people convincingly over the years. Moreover, I thought we had an obligation to a woman whose life he could ruin. I found his fiance's work email and emailed her anonymously. I told her she was free to do as she pleased, but I was just an anonymous well-wisher who needed to tell her about him. I was anxious for a few months about whether my cousin would find out about the anonymous email and link it back to me. A few months later, we heard from my aunt that the engagement had been called off. I wasn't sure if my email had anything to do with it, or whether it started conversations that led to the end of the relationship. My family, however, immediately knew I had something to do with it and confronted me, telling me I'm responsible for interfering with his life. My mother was stricken with so much guilt, she wanted to tell her sister, but my father thankfully told her not to. Am I the a-hole? The email laid out my cousin's history with women and all the signs he was a sociopath. The constant lying, his ability to be very charming, the lack of empathy. I asked her to quietly observe his habits and fill out the antisocial personality quiz online using the information she had. Also asked her to write back if she wanted to, but she didn't. From what OP has said, OP just saved her wasting her time. Previous girlfriends have figured it out. OP just helped her get to that realization faster. Also, it took a few months between OP's email and the breakup. It may have been the push in the right direction for her to see and realize what he was really like. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Galaxy Succulent says, not the a-hole is my first thought. If an email from a cousin was enough to break up a relationship that's serious enough to be leading to marriage, that's a red flag all on its own that something else was going on there. Healthy relationships don't end suddenly over one email from a cousin that she likely doesn't even know super well, since you said you aren't close to the cousin anymore. Sheba Not says, not the a-hole. If someone anonymously emailed me about my fiancé, it would make me take a closer look at the relationship, but it wouldn't be the sole reason I would break things off. I think she probably read your email and perhaps looked into things or asked him about it and came to her own conclusions. I think you did the right thing in this situation. Jaded Slayer says, not the a-hole. For all you know, she ignored the email. Maybe her parents had him investigated. Happens a lot in wealthy circles. And uncovered his past. Maybe he did something or several small somethings that led to it. Maybe her family or her insisted on a prenup and he refused. If it was your email, then it would not have taken 2 months for the relationship to end. My brother started dating this new girl, and I realized I recognized her from AA. I'm not an addict, but my lawyer recommended I attend some AA meetings to help strengthen an ongoing case against me. I know it's her because I remember her very unique name from the AA meeting, and she also talked for a very long time. I thought it was important to mention it to my brother because I'm worried about her as a partner to him. In AA, she mentioned that not only did she use hard D, but also that she feels like she can't control herself. She also admitted to D making her verbally aggressive and unstable emotionally, and at the time, Sue was not sober. I know my brother, and I know that he holds himself and his partners to a high standard, and that he hates drama in his relationship. I told him what she said, and he broke up with her. And she basically stalked me and also called me an untrustworthy B who ruined her experience with AA. Honestly, I think I was just trying to help my brother out. But some of my friends think it was messed up for me to tell him. But I think it's better for him to know what kind of person she is ahead of time. Am I the a-hole? Edit. To clear some things up, because people are assuming a lot. I'm fighting my case because I believe the legal system is corrupt, and I want to be accountable in other ways. I don't regularly drink and drive. I don't even drink at all. The night was the worst night of my life, and I would take it back in a heartbeat. All I'm asking is opinions on how I should have handled the situation with this girl, not to talk about whether I deserve to rot in jail because of my DUI. I do not condone drinking and driving, and think it's a very serious crime, and I understand the gravity of my actions. Cerebral Assassin says, you're the a-hole. Did you forget the second A stands for anonymous? Most go to these things to get help, not to try and make a fake showing for court because they can't get a DD. Jar56 says, you're the a-hole. You are a gigantic a-hole. Do you not know the definition of the word anonymous? It is completely wrong to reveal anything people talk about in those meetings. That is their safe space, and you just violated it. Karath Solis says, you're the a-hole. You expect us to not hold a DUI over your head, and you went and did exactly that to somebody else. Nothing like holding somebody's past mistakes over their head when they're trying to get help.